सो निशांत जी, आप ये बताइए ओवरऑल स्टील इंडस्ट्री आउटलुक हमें क्यों जाना चाहिए ग्रीन फाइनेंस के ऊपर?
Sure. Thank you, Kirbai. So, I think the entire steel industry outlook, and it was a good backgrounder, which we got. Just say, all of us know that as the world is moving towards greener, right? One is definitely that we have our own carbon commitments. We definitely, as a country, need to go to that net zero goal. But also, if you were to look at the capitalist side of it, as in the business side of it, we will need to go green. One of the foremost reasons is that as the world is utilizing more and more steel, there are not many countries where steel growth will happen. India is one of the few islands where actually we might see the production go up. Now, if you were to even look at a global outlook, right? Globally, we do around about 1900 million tons of steel. If that was to go to even 2200 million tons of steel at the rate of 250 kgs per capita consumption, you would not see the US or the Europe actually come up with new plants. It will largely be Asia and not also China, but India, which needs to increase the steel capacity. As you said in the background, we are already at around about 10 to 12% emissions, which if we were to increase it by this much or go to the common goal of government, which is 300 million ton by 2030, we might get into 15 to 17% of emissions. That is one point. The other is also that globally, we've seen a move towards less carbon intensity. CBAM, which is the cross-border adjustment mechanism, which Europe has come about with, where, what is CBAM? Just take a step back, is that whatever steel will be imported into Europe, and whatever the carbon footprint of that steel is, that will need to be paid by either the importer or the exporter, which makes our steel less competitive. Just to give you some numbers, today in India, when we look at an average carbon emission, we are close to 2.55 tons of CO2 per ton of steel. To a global average, which is close to 1.45, which is similar to European average also. Which means that much extra carbon emission will be penalized for when we are trying to export to countries, Europe, and thereafter, it's only going to spread. That is the capitalist reason why we would want to get to a lower carbon footprint. Yes, the secondary steel manufacturers definitely have a headway there because the more the scrap is used, the lesser the carbon footprint, as against a blast furnace manufacturer. Also, now coming to green finance, so that is the inherent reason why we need to move towards greener, for a better environment, but also to stay competitive in the industry. There are few ways we could go green, which before coming to green finance, which need to be financed, is to reuse and recycle more and more of steel, which is scrap-based economy, circular economy. The second is actually to close down inefficient production. Now, that can only happen even in secondary steel manufacturers if we have a pathway to go to better efficient manufacturing. Just to give you some numbers, 70% of blast furnaces in Europe will come up for renewal in the next decade, which might not happen, which would create that opportunity for us Indian steel manufacturers, secondary or primary, to actually grow steel. Those are largely the two ways. The other is definitely carbon abating technologies which we could be using, something like hydrogen, which are in very nascent stage right now. And so I'd say the stress should be on recycle, reuse right now from secondary steel, as well as getting towards more efficient technologies, for which we will need finance. And now where the finance is going to come from, I think we definitely have Kirbai more...
Sumit ji for the finance. Sumit ji,